Want to welcome everybody today to the Public Safety and Justice Committee. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Eden, can I have a second? Rob? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, forgot to ask, was there any changes or deletions or additions? I'm sorry, before we vote on that. Does anybody have any? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. We'll move on to informational items. The ETSB report. Jody? She in here? Okay.
Hello,
Hi there.
I'm Jody Noe here for David Tuttle. We're just reporting that the Peoria ECC office is coming together rather nicely, and we should be moving Peoria dispatchers back to Peoria by the end of April.
So you have Bartonville's all done, correct?
Bartonville is complete. There are a few odds and ends things that need to be completed, but they're going to wait until the Peoria dispatchers go back to Peoria, so there's more room to move around. But for the most part, Bartonville is complete.
Good.
We will be having an open house here soon, trying to figure out how we can do that with the COVID-19 and everything, but we'll get it figured out.
Okay.
We'll
And
let everybody know.
everything's going smooth for it?
Well,
I mean,
as much as can be expected, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. We've had some bumps, but we've gotten over those.
Is there any questions for Jody on it? Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Number 2, the public defender report. Scott, are you going to do that one?
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I believe Nate's in court because I don't see him in the audience today. His report is in the packet. Any questions the committee might have, I'll make sure to relay to Mr. Bach and get an answer for you.
Do we have any questions we'd like to ask Nate so he can answer at a later time?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we funded some additional FTEs in that area this year for the express purpose of creating some full-time folks, misdemeanor, traffic.
I can answer that. I'm Kristen. I'm the paralegal in the public defender's office. Nate is in court, but he asked me to come up and let you know that we did hire a full-time assistant public defender that starts tomorrow in traffic court, and we are still planning on hiring at least one other full-time assistant public defender this year. So.
And are you getting enough applicants? Are you having trouble finding people?
I don't know if Nate, he has not mentioned to me, we just are still, just hired the new traffic guy. So I don't know what he has actually put out there and posted for the additional full-time employee, but.
Did you say part-time?
No, I said, I may have said part-time, but it's full-time. I apologize if I misspoke.
Yeah.
No, he's full-time and starts tomorrow.
Any other questions, Mr. Chairman?
Paul, it was part of a need identified by Chief Judge Gilfillan, as well as with some support, I believe, from the state's attorney's office as well. And I'm just curious as to when they expect to be operationalizing those positions, since they certainly demonstrated the need for them.
The initial plan was to have the first assistant full-time hired in January, but he's not starting till the end of March, and then the second one's supposed to be hired in April, so I'm hoping we can get him or her hired, the next full-time one hired in the next few weeks, but it's, again, a issue of if we get the applicants that are qualified.
Thank you, Brian. The next one's the Peoria Public Schools Restore, Reinvest, and Renew R3 Grant Award. Sheriff, are you going to do that one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the R3 grant that's based off the cannabis cells from the state. We went into this grant with District 150. There's some other stakeholders who are also in there. It's the Holt Center, Family Corps, and I believe there's one legal entity. But it's really the purpose of this for the Sheriff's Office will help us continue with our reentry program. And that's where the funds will be pushed to. There's a total of $48,750, and we'll just put that back to help offset the cost for that one of the reentry officers. We are re-looking how to do reentry really because of really COVID. We really couldn't get this program started last year when it began. It's been all hands on deck where they've really served a huge role though. Having those at least one all of last year and two this year because of the different problems we have in the jail. But we're looking to sit back down and really get this program started and try to reduce recidivism.
So you've had some graduates from before pre-COVID, correct or not? Or is that on another program?
No, when we started the reentry program with the FT, that would have been last January. That's when Angel Cruz came on board. And as we were developing the program, it was, we're talking 8 weeks later, we went on shutdown.
Okay.
And we have not had any opportunity to bring any programs or service volunteers back in the facility because we're on outbreak status. We still remain on outbreak status. It takes 28 days with 0 positivities to get off that status. So until we get to that point, which is really hard to do because that's detainees, staff, volunteers, anyone that's part of the jail system, if they come up for COVID positive, it continues us for at least another 28 days to be on that status, which does not allow us to bring any volunteers in to get, for example, jobs partnership or any of the GED, CBT programs. So we're working really hard. I mean, it's just trying to manage this when something's really kind of out of our control with the virus. But we have to get these programs started back up, just really to occupy time. We've seen the problems. Well, we had an officer that was hurt last week, and I can probably say that was involved with just this lockdown status when you've got people in their cell 23 hours a day. You really just can't manage behavior well. I mean, it's just a problem. So we know we have to get these programs started, and this grant will help us, at least offset some of the costs.
Okay. Any questions for the sheriff about this? Steve?
Just as a scope of the youth, as it's called out, youth programs, I'm assuming this are youth that are based in your responsibility, not the JDC. And then what's the age range? Just kind of give me your target age range that you're pursuing.
Yeah, I had that same question when we wrote this grant, but it's up to age 21. So we're taking that age, and if you look at the demographics of the jail, 18 to 24 is our highest demographic. So there's going to be quite the population that fits under this age range.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we've got the resolution, the intergovernmental agreement between Illinois Office of the Comptroller and the Peoria County Circuit Clerk. Can I have a motion to put that on the floor? Brian, a second? Phil, thank you. Bobby, are you doing this one? Oh, you are? Okay. Kevin? Okay.
Thank you. Kevin O'Connor with the Circuit Clerk's Office. The Comptroller's Office offers a program to where we can send in our outstanding debts for court fines and fees, and they will offset the the debtor's Illinois state tax income and send that money to us to pay for their fines and fees before they get it back. Currently, we probably have about $50 million worth of debt that's eligible for this program. It only allows you to send debt from the last 7 years. There's a couple other, well, about 50% of the counties in Illinois use this program right now. Comparable counties such as Rock Island and Macon County have received roughly $200,000 back from this program per year. And if we do it comparable, we had estimated that we would get between $200,000 and $300,000 coming into our office. Granted, not all of that is Peoria County's revenue. Some of it's the state or other agencies' revenue. But that's in addition to all the other things, collections that we do. The other benefit to this program is that 2/3 of the collection fee that currently goes to our collection agency, when the state collects it, that money would then be remitted to our state's attorney's office as a revenue for the state's attorney's office instead of for the collection company. So if you have any questions.
Do you have any questions? Steve?
Maybe, Kevin, you can kind of give us a little more background on, in the past, you've had a collection program that was in place, and I think when they applied for license or renewals and such, it puts a prohibit on that. And I think the House bill affects that. And so I guess kind of give us where you've been and where we're going, just as a understanding.
Well, I guess the reason that we haven't done this before or brought this up in the last couple of years is because about 3-4 years ago we started a program with our traffic fines to where if you don't pay it within 45 days, we can then put a hold on your license. So then you'd have to pay Peoria County that traffic ticket. We would give you a receipt that you would take to the DMV, and then they would lift the hold off your license. With the new Senate or House bill that just passed, effective July 1st, all of the holds that we put on licenses, which is about $15 to $20 million worth of holds, is getting completely wiped out. So they will be able to go renew their license without paying us. So this is just another remedy to try and recoup some of that money.
Actually, I don't mean to butt in on Kevin, the other collection agency wasn't licensed to do this. And now the collection company we're using now is licensed by the state to go ahead and spearhead this. And they have the computer all set up. So this program doesn't cost us anything to really do. All it is the collection agency now is taking it and sending it to the state for us. And so basically there's not a lot of work we have to do on this collection thing. So it doesn't cost us any money, we can make money.
On another note, the comptroller's office did just pass, I don't know if it was a resolution or a statement, to where they're not going to take money from the lowest 20%, I believe it was. So if you make under the poverty level or whatever their income threshold, I think it was $55,000 for a family of 4, they're not going to offset your money. So it'd just be the people who, so to speak, have the money that they're going to take from. They're not going to take it from the lower end of the spectrum there.
I think that kind of answers my question I was going to ask was, historically, what's the recovery rate? But sounds like with that change, the historical recovery rate from this organization or this process wouldn't apply anymore. We'll just have to see how we do, right?
Yes, effective July 1st, we got to find another solution to collect on these traffic tickets at least.
Any other questions? Brian?
Was that the last July 1st or this forthcoming July 1st?
In 3 months, 2021.
Oh, 21. So it hasn't taken effect yet?
No, it takes, I believe it's in May, the Secretary of State's office is going to stop putting holds on the license,
Okay.
and then July 1st, they're going to remove them all completely.
Did the county know about this bill that was in Springfield? Because it sure seems detrimental to.
The clerk's offices as a whole were opposed to this bill.
Right.
But we weren't very successful at
What bill, number was that?
Um,
I mean, I don't need to know it right now, but if you can get it to me.
It's part of 3653, the reform bill.
Oh, what, oh, part of, oh, I see, okay. I should have known,
it's somewhere buried in there.
yeah. And so did you say we have $50 million, that's older than 7 years or just in the last 7 years?
That's within the last 7 years. The eligibility requirements are that we have an address for you, the debt, which is validated by the court orders, and it has to be greater than a $10 debt.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Okay, we're up to miscellaneous now. And Jenny, you've got something for that?
I believe we've got representatives from MEG here that wanted to discuss an upcoming resolution.
So my name is Jacob Duro. I am the director of the Peoria Multi-County Enforcement Group, otherwise known as PMEG. We are the undercover narcotic team here in Peoria, Tazewell, and Woodford counties. In years past, any federal assets, any federal forfeitures, any seizures federally on a federal case would just come to us, and we have a bank account set aside for all of those assets. A new law came into play January 1, which says all the MEGs and task force throughout the entire nation can no longer have bank accounts set up for themselves in those situations. I really don't know the history behind it. All I know is that that is the new way going forward. So what MEGs and task forces across the nation have to do is set up a federal fiduciary, which is a sheriff's office preferably, or a local police department, to basically hold our checkbook for all federal seizures. So when we faced this problem, I obviously approached Sheriff Asbell. He agreed, obviously pending board approval, that Peoria County he would have no problem doing that pending board approval for us. So the MEG unit is basically just asking if Peoria County Sheriff's Office would be the federal fiduciary for the local MEG unit for all federal seizures.
And I've reviewed the fiduciary agreement and have been working on it with PMEG. And so I think today we just didn't have time to get it on the agenda. So logistically, the committee can just decide if they want to do a poll vote or meet before the April 8th meeting. But I'll work with Aaron and Jake to get the resolution and agenda briefing to you guys in whichever format you want it. But I have reviewed the fiduciary agreement. It's pretty simple and straightforward.
You got any questions? Mr. Chairman?
So does the sheriff then have the duty to account for the funds moving in and out of that account?
Yes, and I believe Randy has been part of these conversations. I did have some logistical questions. There's some reporting and making sure that entities who are going to be required to report are aware of and willing to do that reporting. But maybe Randy or Jake can speak to some of those logistics. But yes, the county will then have some reporting and accounting requirements.
And the current level of accounting and reporting for dollars in and out of our area MEG unit, who is overseeing that, Sheriff?
You talking about the payout on the forfeitures, if there was any to an agency?
Sure.
For example, like that, and this still needs to go to the MEG board, but it's going to be a percentage base. For example, the agencies that have officers or employees that are working active agents for the PMEG group, they get a higher percentage versus a smaller agency that does not have anything in personnel and the group. I think it's either a 1% or a 3%. Eventually, I believe to serve as the fiduciary, we would receive an additional 3% to do this. I look at it, it's a pass-through.
So why are we segregating dollars under an account called federal seizures then?
So the new law that came out does not allow us, under the old regime, prior to January 1 of this year, we had our own federal account set up. Any federal seizures, we put in our own federal account. The new law says that MEGs and task forces across the nation can no longer do that. You have to have a local government carry our checkbook, basically be our federal fiduciary. So, and this is just for federal seizures, so these are cases that are just going federal. And majority of our cases are state cases, and this does not apply to those.
Thank you.
Sheriff, will this take very much more of your staff's time to do this, or will this just be, if you take over that part, I mean, is it going to cost your agency very much, or it's just
I honestly, Mr. Chairman, I believe once we get this set up and rolling, again, like Attorney Durham has said, there's not many federal forfeitures. I already serve for the MEG board as the treasurer, where I sign all the checks for them, and really it's a logistics thing, just because where they're located compared to where the sheriff's office is, versus using, say, Woodford County or Hasbro County Sheriff, we're just right down the road. So honestly, it's not that big of a deal for the sheriff or myself. I'm primarily the person that they deal with.
how would the committee like to do this? You want to have a poll vote, or would you rather just have an extra meeting before the county board meeting? Poll vote is all right with everybody? Okay, do we have to vote on that, or?
No, since you're just a miscellaneous now, this was just more of a discussion to give you a heads up, and then we'll move forward with the poll vote, and Scott can kind of guide us on getting documents out to you guys.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything else for miscellaneous? Brian?
Are there any updates from the sheriff on the bill, the police reform bill, or?
Say that again, Brian, I'm sorry.
Are there any updates on the police reform bill? And then I guess before I ask you, I wanted to share with the group, and then I want you to comment on it. You know, I was encouraged in the meeting the other night when I brought the matter up to let it be a state issue and to call our representatives. And so I tried to get a hold of Representative Gordon, and I wasn't able to do so. But I did talk to Senator Kaler, and I didn't realize it, but actually initially qualified immunity, you know, was on the table, and he actually spearheaded the effort to take it out, which I appreciated the fact that he did so. But my understanding, and I'd like for you to comment on this, Sheriff, is that they still are going to be studying this issue for the next 2 years, and so to me, that's kind of like a cloud hanging over the heads of our police officers, because well, what's the study going to show, or what are they going to encourage them to do? And so it's just, this issue isn't going to go away. I talked to someone from Tazewell County yesterday at a meeting, and they said they normally have, I think, 60 applicants for police officers, and right now they have 5. So I do want to ask you how you feel about the fact that they're going to continue to study this qualified immunity situation.
Yeah, and I think your timeline's off on that. I think there was a D-Day for the qualified immunity piece of it was May of this year. I might be wrong. I think the 2-year stance was on the no cash bail. I think that was the only one that had a 2-year window. But however, from what I understand from the legislators, all of this could be changed. I mean, they could say, no, we're going to do an extension for this study, which I probably would say would happen because there really hasn't been much more discussion on that. As for trailer bill, I have not seen anything besides the other bills that are coming down. relative to criminal justice reform that's separate from 3653. And again, I would be premature to discuss those because they haven't been approved, but there's things that will have impacts again on the profession. For example, one of the bills that are coming through right now is the requirement to have all police officers to have either a bachelor's in social work or have a degree that as a minor degree, which would require a 4-year degree for all hires applicants. And you'd actually have to go back and you know, the current employees that don't have that education would have to go back and get that piece of it. And obviously there would be a cost component to that for the counties, municipalities, everyone. Again, but there's other bills coming through that could have an impact, but it's like I said before, this is all, it builds on a mindset of the profession, and that's what we're struggling with right now. And it's just one thing after another, some good, some bad, some it's just we need more communication about. But we've really been on a holding pattern where we haven't had communication. There hasn't been any outreach per se where we know. I did get notification from the Sheriff's Association earlier this week that there was another meeting between the coalition, which the coalition is built from the Sheriff's Association, the Illinois Chiefs of Police, PBPA, and the FOP. But I have not heard of any outcomes or any language that came from that meeting. So it's kind of status quo. It's status quo for right now.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any other questions? Anything else for miscellaneous? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.